table just so we can get started. We're actually running about 10 minutes late, and we are on a fairly tight timeline, so we just need to make sure that we stay focused. So thank you all for coming. This is the first public engagement workshop for the Hudson DRI. For those of you who don't know, and I can't imagine you're here if you don't, but this is the $10 million grant that Hudson was awarded by the governor in August of this year. And it's an excellent opportunity for us to focus our efforts on the Bridge District and economic development across the board. So tonight we'll focus on, actually, I'll let Steve go through this process with you. So thank you all for coming, and I look forward to seeing and talking with each one of you tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. The agenda's up here and also in front of you. I'm going to try very hard not to spend too much time talking because tonight is about everyone talking together. It's important to go through what this DRI is about. That'll be the first part, is the overview. I want to quickly review the schedule. It's still emerging, but it's this is a 5-month planning process, so it should be noted. We'll get into the vision that was created by the city in their submittal to the DRI that they were awarded. And then I want to move into the small amount that we are beginning to understand. We just started, really just a matter of a couple of weeks right now, but just as a way to start to spur the conversations tonight. And you'll see that. And then we'll get into a breakout session. One of the sessions I'll explain later is very quick on your own, writing down ideas about the vision, your parts of it. And then the other one, and the real point of this meeting tonight, I'm going to say it now and I'll say it at the end of this meeting, is there's a reason why there's a big map on every table. And the goal at the end of this meeting will be for the community to work together for about 30 to 40 minutes and develop a set of 5 priorities that each table can agree on. And then we're going to hear from each table what those 5 priorities are. I will explain that again. How many of you were here last week at the Planning Committee meeting? Just a show of hands. Okay, so half of you know what I'm about to start talking about. The other half have not heard this yet. This is the second round of the Downtown Revitalization Initiatives. $100 million go to 10 communities, of which the majority of that, $9,700,000 goes into these initiatives, $300,000 goes into the development of these initiatives. Really what we're trying to do here is, make sure that we have public participation. Again, first meeting with the planning committee was last week, now we're with the public. We'll be back very soon on the next meeting. Capital projects, I'm going to get into some of these details and we're going to look at projects, but think about tonight what the DRI is focusing on. Strategic matching, leverage, not just private funds, but public funds as well. How can we leverage more with this $10 million? And, really the ability to kickstart economic development. I'm going to add one here too. These projects, initiatives need to get underway right away after the planning process is complete. So we're talking about spring, summer of 2018. And so if those projects are coming up in initiatives, not just projects, are not likely in that time frame, they may not get the same level of priority. Really, a vision. I'm going to emphasize this. A lot of work, a lot of planning work has already taken place, but we will confirm a vision, we'll confirm it tonight, that's already been developed and still needs to be reviewed and vetted and refined by the community. We've already had some input from the planning committee last week, and now we'll hear from the community tonight. From that vision, we will establish a set of goals. The goals will be growing out of the priorities that are developed here, the shared community priorities. And those goals will indicate or dictate what the specific strategies are. In a more simple way of describing this, we're going to confirm the vision tonight. We are going to end up with a set of community priorities. Those priorities are then going to be vetted back against what's in the application submittal, and then also potential new opportunities that are identified. And those could be tonight. And so, but again, the goals that are created by the community will be dictating the strategies in a large part of it, along with all the other pieces, the viability, etc. A clear vision, as I've just stated, the goals, strategies, and then an action plan, timeline, who's responsible, how it's going to get done, and how long is it going to take to get done. Who is the implementers, how is it going to work? And that becomes a strategic investment plan. This is an important one, the project types, and you're looking on the left, the public improvements. Think about some of the streets, areas where there are no sidewalks right now, and that there could potentially be sidewalks. There could be safer street crossings. There could be better environment for pedestrians, for bikers, for everybody on these streets. Those are areas that we're going to look at. Development opportunities, and you can talk about looking at maybe a larger development where through that you can have a mixed use, mixed income development. Those would be strong candidates for development that really can create and build the public realm. And again, leveraging funds, how they can work, creating systems with a revolving loan fund. For an example, a loan fund in a housing, in a neighborhood to make improvements to housing. As the loans get paid back, they go back into this fund, they go then back out to the community, and they continue as people are utilizing these funds. That, I think, could be a great conversation to talk about tonight. And then branding and marketing, I would love to get the input from the community on how important that is. The question was asked by the community last week, and so I wanted to bring it up tonight. Not an emphasis necessarily within the, the submittal, but an idea of, does this part of, Hudson need its own branding identity? Is it something important? Gateways. I'd be curious what the community thinks about that. The not eligible, and it's simple, the planning activities that would come out of this is not something that would be funded. Staff costs, training expenses, those program expenses are not eligible for this. So keep that in mind. We'd be looking at, leveraging an entity that could help facilitate, for example, a revolving loan program, but they wouldn't be getting paid out of DRI to do that. So again, as I talk about this, and you have the ability to look back at the first round. This is, we're looking at, the different, DRI round one communities. You can just a sort of a breakdown of what we're beginning to look at and what types of projects were funded. And again, as we look at it, as I said, public improvement, 44% of the projects were in public improvement, private development initiatives, again, that was leveraged, and then private not-for-profit partners, 9%, and then grant, loan, revolving funds, 13%. So this is just, again, not how Hudson will do theirs, but an indication of how, this will begin to shape and a likely area of where the funds would be going. And, just taking one 9.7 million example in Geneva, and, again, the public improvements, gateway signage, 5-point intersection pedestrian friendly, streetscape enhancements, public downtown marina, improved pedestrian access. I won't go through all of these, but again, think about, areas like this in Hudson. I can already think of a few myself within the area where there could be some benefits from this. And so again, we had the local planning committee. There is a group of 30 individuals. I have the list of one of these slides. I will not go through all of the names either. They just met last week, and now we're here with the whole community. We will meet with them about 4 or 5 times during this. There's 3 planned community engagement, and then likely more that can happen throughout this, and we'll talk about that towards the end. Their role in really looking at this is some of the comments that came. This was the public comments that came last week. We just inserted this slide. But so again, the input from the community has already started. It will really ramp up tonight. We just wanted to include some of the comments, and everybody has a sheet on their table. I'll hold it up right now. It's the small map study area. On the back side, there is a place for your own personal comments. When I say your own personal, we collect these at the end. But if there's anything you individually want to tell us, there's always a way to provide input. Again, the maps are the priority tonight, but we'll take anything. And here are some examples as we looked at what was most common from last week. The riverfront green space and safe access to it, more jobs, workforce development, improve all transportation modes, and balance the interests and benefits for all constituencies across the study area, and probably across Hudson as well. So again, here are the planning committee members. Matthew Nelson and Mayor Hamilton are the co-chairs, and a very great group of individuals. We had a great conversation last week for all of those who participated, and just real enthusiasm. And one example of their enthusiasm is they're breaking into subgroups. One of those subgroups will be about strengthening and expanding the community engagement, which is really exciting and is going to be a great benefit to this. And again, their roles and responsibilities, the way we look at the planning committee is they are representative of the community as a whole, but they're also the opportunity for us, for our team, to, as we develop the plan elements and we're beginning these discussions, we start with them. They can help us understand likely reactions from the community. Are we getting where we think the community is trying to get us to? And it's really our sounding board. But then also, as the plan is developed, approved, this planning committee becomes the ones who carry this on, ensure implementation, hold it to task, and make sure that the priority projects from the community are in fact the ones that are being awarded and are going forward. We also have the New York State Department of State, and we've got the state planners. Jamie Ethier is here right now. He is really the lead planner for Hudson. We will be working closely daily during this, without a doubt. And then Crystal is right over here, and Loeffler, I hate turning around Loeffler. So again, our real partners in this. We have daily emails, conversations, and we'll all work very carefully together. Very briefly, I am Steve Carney. I represent Stantec Urban Places. We are the lead on the consultant team. We we'll develop all the documentation, create the plan. We are the urban designers, the urban planners. A major part of this, however, is the market analysis and the implementation feasibility of all of these initiatives. And so I'm not going to go through the slides of our entire team, but anyone's welcome to ask me about them. But we have a wide, diverse group of consultants who deal with residential analysis, retail analysis, particularly a Main Street type environment like Warren Street, and also affordable housing specialists. We have cost estimators, and we have public-private financiers who have expertise, who can help us understand what is the appropriate amount of assistance that a project may need. We could not do this work without that entire team, I assure you that. One example just of our work, we've already done 3 of these downtown revitalization initiatives in Oswego, Oneonta, and Elmira. I like to show this one because it's Oswego. I was closely involved with this one. And this project on the left, these are new and historic rehabilitations. The reason why I like to highlight that is because that was not part of their original submittal. It occurred because we, as the design team, identified a couple of vacant parcels that really deserved or should be built out to really extend their Main Street across Bridge Street. And we got in touch with 2 of the property owners. They couldn't do it themselves, but they quickly identified a developer who had the capacity to do it. And in that conversation, the owner of the historic building right here called up and said, I want in as well. And it became almost an entire block development, one of their top priority projects because of what it can do, because the financing could be, could be gotten, and there's a developer who could do it. And that is an example to me where, as you talk tonight, you've got examples of the submittal and what's part of what's in it, not all of it, but don't just stop there. Talk about other things, and if there's ideas that you want to get out, make sure they're out. And again, I just went through, we'll prepare all of these meetings, we develop the plan, we're the ones who pull all of this together, and again, I'm just one of a large team. So now, we're going to get into the DRI boundary. Again, you have this map in front of you. You've got the river, you've got 2nd Street, you've got the wetlands to the south and the other conservation area to the north. And again, this is the area that we are focusing on. The question has been asked, are these boundaries firm? They're not firm yet, they're close, but if there's ideas where these potentially could change, then we want to hear it. We already heard that last week, and we think there are some good ideas there. Talk to us, make sure you talk about that and let us know. Again, in here, just want to talk about, this is what the community, the city, as they prepared this application, had talked about the strengths of this, and we already agree from what we've seen, but it's the well-defined boundaries, it's a diverse population, it's the potential to build on and increase public and private investment, and the measurable job growth, recent and impending job growth, and then again, increasing the livability of this area, that's improving the public realm, and building and locating policies that can advance the revitalization, and then again, strong demonstrated community support. I will pause on that one because again, it is critical in this planning process that we do have community support. Without a doubt, the community is going to help shape this. Their priorities are going to identify what are the most important projects within this. And this, the vision statement, which I will read, and I will pause when I read it, because the first exercise, as I said, everybody was handed this vision statement in front of you, and this is the first thing. When I stop talking, there's going to be a moment for everyone to comment on this and make sure that this represents what you feel the Bridge District is. And if there's anything that you don't feel is in here that should be, we need to know. And if there's parts of it that maybe you don't feel are correct, we need to know. This I want everyone to fill in, and we will collect these at the end. That's an individual exercise for just, it won't take too long, just a few minutes. But I will read it because it's important. Increased development of mixed-use projects that incorporate affordable and market-rate housing and transportation-oriented design, workforce development, reimagining the waterfront for expanded public use and enjoyment. While tourism is a seasonal surge economy for the Hudson, the DRI application proposes to create an environment for high-quality, year-round, living wage jobs. And now I'm going to pause and switch over to our lead urban designer on this, on our team, Phil Chafing, who again is going to walk you through just the top priority project in the submittal, and then he's going to talk about the environment, the public realm, and begin to the very first steps of us understanding how we can really think about reimagining, developing conceptual master plan for the public realm, transportation network, etc. And so with that, I'm going to hand it right to Phil.
Thank you, Steve, and good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Phil, and what I wanted to do is start to go through the application that the city submitted to the state that got the state's attention and made them award the DRI funds to the city of Hudson. And these projects that we're going to talk about are they are the starting point. The second exercise that we're going to go through tonight will be to hear all of your priorities. Some of those priorities may be reflected in the projects you see up here. Some may not be, and you want to add those to them. And that's a really important part of this process, is to make sure that we're building on what the application started with, but making sure that we have projects in there that all of you are excited about and want to see and feel that will benefit the Bridge District. So this is just a diagram that they had put together for the application, talking about how different pieces will fit together. This is the railroad here. Warren Street is right through here, and then this is Front Street. So it's showing, kind of activating the park space along the water, some new activity happening with the kind of light industrial buildings that are back here, as well as Promenade Hill Park at the top here. And I'll talk about a couple of these in a little bit more detail. So they identified 7 what they called priority projects and another 4 secondary priority projects. They're not in any particular order, it's just the order they were in the application. And again, that's what we want to hear from you tonight, is whether these accurately reflect your priorities and what new ideas you have that you're not seeing up here just yet. That's what we're going to be working on over the next couple of months, is to identify a much bigger, broader list of projects. So one of them is the Basilica Hudson, kind of a second phase of work there. It's primarily exterior work on the grounds, the land around that building. If you go there today, it looks kind of, kind of leftover space. It's muddy, there's no real design to it. So they really want to create that as more of a visual gateway to that particular part of the Bridge District, something that everybody can kind of appreciate. The warehouse is the building just beyond the Basilica, and this is really about job creation and adapting the industry that is here in Hudson to emerging technologies and new business opportunities. So this is a job creation way to help position Hudson in the new economy that we're getting into. The Wick Hotel, this is a historic preservation project. This was an old industrial building, part of the former economy of the city, that was empty for a long time, was in really bad shape, and a hotel owner has come in and is renovating the building. And so this will support them in doing that, keeping a historic building intact that kind of talks about the history of Hudson. The River House is in kind of closer towards Warren Street. This is, again, primarily about jobs. It's about integrating with the creative economy, the large number of artists and makers that are here. This particular project is focused a little bit more on film and production. So it creates immediate jobs there, but it also creates then spin-off jobs of companies that support the types of people who will be working there. And this is another example of a historic schoolhouse now that is being renovated and returned to active use. The CAS Mixed Use and Transit-Oriented Development Project. That's actually 3 buildings that are located kind of off of Front Street next to the parking lot for the train station that have been empty for a long time. There's now a request for proposals out looking to get developers' ideas on how you might reuse this. And some of the ideas that were tossed out were things like job training, incubator space for people who want to start a small business. There could be New York employment services here to help people get the skills that they need for jobs and then look for work. So this is something that's also trying then to take advantage of its position close to the train station that people may take to and from New York City or Albany for jobs. Also, just take it on the weekend. So trying to take advantage of that proximity. The Public Pier project is something that's trying to take better advantage of the Hudson River that you have here. It's an amazing asset that not many cities have, but trying to take better advantage of it. And similar to that is a series of other waterfront improvements, thinking about Henry Hudson Park, how is it used today, how could it be better used by a broader range of people, and that's something that we'll be working with a landscape architect on our team to help come up with some initial ideas. We'd love to hear some ideas from you as well, and so that may become a priority as we move through this process. And so with that, that's kind of the first group of projects out of the application. We'll hear from you tonight about whether you like these, think these are good ideas, whether you have new ideas. The second part I just wanted to run through really quickly is kind of the urban design side, and that's basically just a fancy term for how do all of these projects fit together. There were 7 projects there. We're going to come up with a lot more projects over the next few months. But if they're just individual projects that kind of float out there by themselves, it's not as good as if they're all kind of tied together. So again, as Steve mentioned, we're just getting started here in the first couple weeks. I think some of the things that we're noticing is that this district has a lot of diverse housing and diverse people, which is a great part of the district. It has a public waterfront and open spaces, which are great, but which maybe could be better. Has some spectacular views. In terms of moving around the district, has a lot of hills, which can make it hard. It has several areas that are missing sidewalks, and it has a lot of railroad crossings. So this is trying to figure out how you get people, bicyclists, drivers, trucks, and trains to all play nice together and to create a space that people want to cross over the railroad tracks to get to the river. These are just a few pictures that we took as we were walking around that kind of illustrate that. And this is a very simple, quick diagram, just thinking about how we can use design to tie these projects together, but also to help connect people to each other and people to different places, both in the district and in other parts of Hudson. So it's looking, these red lines here are places that are missing sidewalks, and particularly in this area where the railroad tracks are, that's a really kind of poorly defined space. And so that's one thing that we'll be looking at and thinking from a design perspective how we might make that better. How you can take advantage of the views both at the water level and then also up at Promenade Hill Park here. Thinking how Front Street can connect the 2 sides of the district and how that connects into Warren Street here. So these are just some initial ideas that we're thinking of. Tonight is all about hearing more of your ideas. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Steve to kind of walk through what we're going to be producing and then the exercises for tonight.
Thank you, Phil. Right up here is, ultimately once this is all completed, I just wanted to give you a sense of, where we end up. And again, we're already starting on the part 1 section, developing a profile and assessment. Much of the boards in the back are the start of that profile. We'll be beginning the vision and goals, the management implementation, and then the public involvement. That's all part of it. And then we develop, once we know that projects that are beginning to come up and will likely be part of the DRI, we develop these project profiles. That will be the next phase that will start taking place in really December and January, refined completely, and finished mostly in February and March. Again, this is a short 5-month time frame. It's very short. I know there's some comments, or some were made last week, and people are concerned about this. This is how this is the rules that has been set with this. And it really, again, is important to note that this is about identifying projects and initiatives that can occur now and can happen right away that build on the planning and that's already taking place. So it's a very unique opportunity. It is a fast-paced opportunity. So we will be talking very often over the next few months. This is just, if you look at, we're here tonight on the 26th. I had, and our team had a number of interviews, many community members, some who are here tonight. We've had great conversations. This tentative dates, these will be confirmed shortly. Don't write them down yet, but pay attention because they'll be close to these dates. The next LPC meeting, all of which are open to the public, every meeting's open to the public, is 11/14. The next public meeting that we'll be looking at is the beginning of December, where we will be beginning to identify many of these projects. We then come back in the mid-December to review the input that we're hearing from the community, start vetting these with the committee, and then we come back again just to confirm we're in the right place before we come back to the community. And then in early February, we will be talking about here is the plan, here are the items, and there's still time to make comments, to adjust, but throughout February and into March, we will finalize this plan and it'll be completed. And again, implementation announcements will occur shortly afterwards. So now we are again at the point where, really at the point of tonight, I'm going to explain both projects' breakout session exercises now, because I found many people finish the vision statement very fast and then everyone starts talking while others keep working on it, and it's just too complicated and disruptive for me to talk again. So again, I mentioned the vision and how you're going to do that. You're going to write down what's good, what's not good, what should be added, what maybe should be edited. And then the big piece is, it's on your tables. We have a bunch of facilitators here, we'll be going around, but there's a map on your board, and it's about where and what you cherish, where you go in the district, how often you go there, what's good about the district, what should be protected about the district, what is something that's missing, where are there gaps, what do we need, what's important. This is a conversation. While you're talking, draw on the map, write on the map, write your own personal comments on the sheets in front of you that you all have. But here's where I'm going to really push, because this is the documentation. This becomes a big part of the community engagement, and this is what you as a community point back to and say, this is what we all said at that meeting. So how is this impacting the plan? So it is critical, and at 7 o'clock I'm going to start warning and asking everyone to make sure they're developing their 5 priorities. Now, there can be more priorities at a table, but I want, and this is important for what I'm trying to accomplish, and we're trying to accomplish, I want the table to agree on 5. That they all can say, okay, those are the top 5 for this table. And then at the end, we will have each table, one person from each table, read those top 5. And my goal is I want to see where and what is shared in terms of the priorities and where there may be differences. So concise 5 priorities that your table agrees on are the top ones. And that's not as easy as it sounds. So that's why I'm emphasizing it right now. And I really want to see if we can work through it. And I'll say it again and again in about 20 minutes. And I'll walk around as well, and we'll be talking about it. So with that, I'm going to stop. We are all available. I know there's one individual who I have to finish a conversation with that we just started right when this began, and I'm going to do that. But we're all available to discuss this. Jamie as well, and Phil. All of us, so if you have questions while this is, going on, feel free to come up and talk to us. But I want to just make sure that we can really get and develop this community priorities. And that is, to me, I think, incredibly critical for this planning process. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, work on your vision statement, and then as you finish it, start talking together as a group. And with that, thank you very much, but I will be talking again.
Funniest damn thing driving around there.
very, very much. Thank you. What I was saying is, this is the other important part of this, because every person needs to hear what each table has been talking about. That is what I want to make sure that happens. So, I'm going to start on this side of the room. 2 people are going to hold up the map. 1 person is going to read their top 5 priorities. If the next table, one of your priorities was already called out, you can say it was called out, but no need to get into it. Because I want to hear just the priorities that are not being mentioned, and make sure that we develop a list. At the end of this, they will all be compiled, and we will create what were the most top-rated priorities from this community. So, but it does require that everyone be quiet for the next about 15 minutes, and then I bet we can get through 12 tables. I bet I can do this. So with that, here we go.
All right, ours is pretty simple. Out of the top 5 for us, the CAS mixed use TOD as first. As second, we actually split 2 projects. Well, I shouldn't say split. We combined 2 projects, and so that was the connections to the riverfront, not reconnections, connections to the riverfront, and the Fuggery remediation plan. We felt that was a continuum throughout the whole district, north and south. Third, the public pier project. Again, we're really looking at clustering and continuum. Fourth, the warehouse, not necessarily only DigiFab, but really is an opportunity for job and workforce development. And then 5th, community food hub, but we felt in a different location.
Okay, that is great. Perfect. And I'm going to go down, and the only change I'm going to make is that when you hold up the map, face the community, so everyone can see it. But other than that, that was a great start. I didn't want to interrupt. Okay, here we go. Who would like to be the speaker?
All right, what do we got for a map?
I can even help hold it.
Oh, boy. Great. Yes, would you like to face it this way?
They can't read it anyway.
Okay, we came up with a few new projects. A stairway from Water Street down to the back of the waterfront park, mixed-use seating for events. Focus again on the public pier project, and relocate the food hub idea over to number 7, the former CAS warehouse, and combine it with a larger food retail establishment with an emphasis on the affordable that would be located either there or at the location number 10.
Great, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And, okay. I can even hold it right here, so all you have to do is hold the microphone, but hold it fairly close to your mouth.
No, yeah, you do.
Can you read it?
All right, here you can have this. I'll read this.
All right, talk loud though.
Interconnected transportation and parking. 2nd Street stairs connecting between Upper City and Cross Street towards the Basilica. CAS warehouse redevelopment. Dunn warehouse building. Altering, improving the entrance to Promenade Hill. And we had a secret one that I'm not supposed to read, I guess.
I can't wait to read that one later. I'll just pick that map up first. All right. Go.
So we have a few new projects on here. The first one we have is the North Bay Community Campus, which would be a consolidation of existing community organizations in town, like Greater Hudson Promise Neighborhoods, Kite's Nest, Hudson Youth Center possibly. Could also consolidate some of these other ones, the food hub, food waste processing, all into one larger community campus adjacent to affordable housing, Bliss Towers, the Terrace, the low rise. That's number 1, new project. Number 2 is Second Ward, affordable retail and commercial space. Again, a lot of these projects seem to be on the south side of town where there's already a lot of focus of energy, tourism, wealth. So bringing some of that affordable retail, accessible commercial space up into the Second Ward was a priority for us. The Public Pier project was a third one. I'll just say a little bit about that since not much has been said. The Public Pier project is a project to develop easy access to the Hudson River for fishing, small boats, and just general being able to get down and access the river. which there's not a lot of at our current waterfront. I know we haven't talked about that a lot. That's an exciting project. Connections, we kind of lumped all the connections into one because we love the idea of having stairways improved, connecting down from 2nd Street, getting better access over to the waterfront, which you have to go through a few hoops to get to right now, Promenade Hill. And then we isolated DigiFab from some of the other projects if we can. I think a lot of us in this group were excited that DigiFab is providing a lot of great jobs, expanding, doing job training. And so we were excited about seeing DigiFab expand and create more jobs, do more workforce development in jobs that really are applicable in the new economy. So we were excited about that.
Excellent, excellent. That's great. So far the pier, I think, has been on every single one. So we're starting here. We'll work our way back up. And who do we have?
Okay, our number one priority was waterfront green space from North to South Bay, including the Furbery. Number 2, mixed-use development, maker spaces, training spaces, incubator, housing, affordable housing, all in this area where the CAS building is now. Infrastructure, lights, sidewalks, sewers, parking, trees from, and a welcoming path from south to north to make a more welcoming and inviting city.
You're pointed right to your mouth.
No, it's
great.
Okay, turn back on. A community food hub with multi-production kitchen, farmers market, either in the Dunn or the Cas area or the Harney area, and making that really kind of a food hub. And then 5th, a transportation hub with something akin to city bikes. Same idea for kayaks, increased ferry service, boat rentals, and a trolley.
All right, that may have been more than 5, but that's okay. Good category. All right, I got 2 at this table.
So affordable housing, especially with low income availability, living wage jobs. I think I'm loud. Affordable housing, particularly low income availability, living wage jobs, and we have a particular focus on the question of how do we attract it. It's one thing to create an environment where companies can come out, how do we attract them? Access to healthy, fresh food, a community kitchen, storage, development of the riverfront and walking access, and a makerspace. And we had one additional little idea, which was the possibility of increasing the size of the area to include the park and the area on Mill Street, because it's adjacent, but not many people even know it exists.
Excellent. Okay, and we're going to stay on this table. This is a large table. Here we go.
We arrived at improvements to waterfront, not displacing people. A food hub, we also want that. We want lighting and sidewalks and transportation as one thing. And we wanted to see mixed-use development, including community space for existing organizations that are already working in the community, much like Nick was talking about. And affordable housing, low income, and possibly other kinds of affordable housing. And we were interested in, definitely job creation is what we want for all of these somehow to do.
So again, affordable housing is one that we're hearing on almost every table so far. Here we go. Who is grabbing the microphone?
So we also have affordable housing as number 1. I think, I just want to say that we had been told that affordable housing could not be part of this project, and now that we all know that it can be, it's really elevated that to number 1. Number 2, we had workforce development, job training center as a priority, and the idea being that these two things are kind of inextricably linked, like the DigiFab and other businesses, including my own, we can't have staff if they can't live here, and people can't afford to live here if they don't have jobs. So these go hand in hand. Pedestrian access on both the north and south ends of the district. So there's areas at the furthest south and the furthest north are both sort of no man's land in terms of safety, access, sidewalks, lighting. And that, I agree, it includes over to the Mill Street area, down the hill around 2nd Street, and down along the Dock Street area. A food hub / food trucks with an emphasis on affordable. For a lot of the businesses down in this whole area, there's actually very few places to eat, especially like lunch and cheap, affordable food, not high-end restaurants. We seem to be good with those. And then jobs in general as a priority, and living wage jobs in the community.
Excellent, thank you. I gotta let everyone finish on the priorities. I have strict rules. Let's go. Thank you.
All right, so we also, it seems like a few tables have echoed that. We were really looking quite a bit at first at the, at the North Bay area, which is often left out of the equation. Everyone's focused down there. And we really see it as it would be a great food district. We have Kites Nest Community Garden, and this building's up for sale. It could be an incredible food market, supermarket. And then we have the Foster's Refrigeration, which would be a wonderful place to have a composting facility. Of course, Hawthorne Valley Ferments is coming in here. It'd be a fantastic corridor for that. And it would bring people to this side of the city, which would be wonderful. So that was kind of, we talked about that a lot. And then the second thing was the youth center that's here, but perhaps connecting it to, already it's a little connected to Kites Nest, but maybe having other sites where people can connect to that, and it's not just in this one place. And then the Dunn Warehouse, because it would be a great public facility. Maybe farmer's market, public space there. Transportation came up. We all feel like, it'd be great to have that, especially if this would become a food hub, to have transportation there, especially in the winter, but also just around the city in general. There's old people, there's ice, there's all kinds of reasons for having some kind of affordable, great public transportation. Walkability, sidewalks goes with that, lighting. And then vocational training was our fifth thing. We were thinking about the CAS building perhaps. That's really needed, as other tables have mentioned, jobs. Really need jobs, and we really need vocational training. So anyways, that's us.
Thank you. Thank you. This is great. Absolutely. Okay, just a few more tables, so please everyone just stay so that everyone gets heard by the community. Here we go. I can help you. I may need somebody else if you're speaking.
Got this. So, hello, can you hear me? Yes, good. So, we had housing as a sort of sub-theme, subtext of what we were thinking about. We're really thinking about it in terms of spaces and places where we can create environments where housing can happen. Our first priority was the CAS warehouse area, the mixed use and workforce training, particularly opportunities in that area would be really important. Mixed use would include some housing. The second we thought was a food hub. A lot of people have spoken about that, and we actually saw that maybe in two parts. Maybe this up here near Harney, there's a building there that has refrigeration and all sorts of facilities there that could become almost like a sort of distribution center for farmers in the area, but also thinking of the Dunn Warehouse as a place that might be a year-round farmer's market. And we also thought organic recycling would be a great thing in this North Bay area. Circulation is not very sexy, but we thought it was really important. That's something we definitely need to do with this money, to build curbs and bridges and all sidewalks and lighting and all those infrastructure things. At the waterfront, we've thought the Dunn Warehouse is really important, and finding the right place to have access to the river a small a cafe where you can get something to eat, bikes and kayaks and all that sort of thing down here. And lastly, we thought there needed to be some support for the arts and facilities where arts work can take place in this community, since it's such a big part of our community. We thought maybe Basilica, maybe River House.
Excellent. Great, great. Thank you very much. All right, and moving down. There we go. Do we have some? All right. You can stay seated while it's getting lit. Sure.
Thank you. We also talked a lot about sustainable, affordable housing, and that was a big priority for us. And that could be part of mixed-use development that includes businesses and jobs. We talked about food access in the form of markets, affordable supermarkets, farmers markets, food trucks, community gardens, and continuing to build on the sort of urban agriculture that's happening. And locally owned affordable restaurants. We talked about the community loan funds that have started through some of the other DRI projects. We talked about permanent access to the waterfront for pedestrians, bikes, boats, the public pier, and amenities at the waterfront, like the Dunn Building potentially turning into a marine center to support reconnections to the waterfront industry. We talked also about circulation and public transportation in Hudson and from the surrounding areas. We also talked about expanding the district, the Bridge District, down Union Street to 3rd Street and down to Mill Street, because we, similar to that table over there, talked about the houses and playground and this big green space on Mill Street. And then we also talked about a priority for development that serves all the existing population in this district and all income groups. And I think that's it.
All right, thank you, thank you. A few more tables, here we go.
So housing was absolutely our #1 priority. We spent a lot of time talking about it and talking and debating different income levels, but really about kind of creating a middle class in Hudson that would help to make it a more sustainable year-round community in that way, and serving those housing needs and gap. Transportation, particularly pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure through the Bridge District, but also transportation that would connect up to Fairview to the college in particular as a place of important job skills training and other educational opportunities that is quite disconnected at the moment. Food access combined with green job skill training, the community kitchen idea, the composting, I don't know the name of the project, but that was also very favorably in our assessment. Historic preservation, not losing sight of the very important historic resources that are within the district, the history of the district, and particularly Promenade Park. And then we all felt very strongly, although it's the last one, because it was sort of just the sequence we created them, not the priority, was that the waterfront should be as accessible to the public as possible, all of the waterfront.
Excellent, excellent. All right. And here we go, the last one. So let's...
We had a long series of conversations that this is a neighborhood below 2nd full of dead ends. And the circulation sucks. And that there was historically more of a grid, and we would like to look at circulation so that all of these dead ends could connect to the city. So that our priorities, in addition to looking at that, were again looking at job workforce training, affordable housing, but if you can connect through there, that seemed to be what all of these other projects connected through. We thought that termination of Warren Street, that you could connect with a new entrance to Promenade Hill, but somehow connect that down to the waterfront, and to somehow connect from the warehouse back up. This connection through this idea of reimagining housing in that, whatever that area is called, the warehouse tab, that would connect to jobs, workforce training, and circulation. So there we go.
What was the other?
And also, that historically there was another street that got removed with urban renewal, that you came across the Ferry Street Bridge and went right along the tracks so that you could, and it was called Franklin Street, that you could omit Water Street and put more land on the waterfront to make a much more accessible waterfront. And we looked at that as part of these dead ends.
Okay, now, I said that was the last one. Hold on. And I'll talk to you. There actually is a group right behind me. I can vouch for them. I sat with them. They don't have a map, but as long as they still deserve to talk, and again, with a 5, and to keep it brief, because we're over time right now.
Okay, we talked about the need for covered bus stops. There's a lot of young people who take the bus in the morning, and especially in the wintertime, it's a hard place to be. And maybe at some point we'll have more transportation because those bus stops can be used for other things as well. We talked about having more public space in the waterfront and more public docks. We talked about the need for more affordable housing, more mixed housing, sidewalks and circulation, and workforce development.
Excellent, excellent. So now we are officially done. I want to just summarize a couple things because I think it's very important what we obviously heard. And affordable housing was clearly a priority, but I just want to add to that, which was also clear, affordable restaurants, affordable food, affordable places to work. So affordable was also just a big theme that came out across all of this, which I think is critical. And again, these are going to be the messages that come back to this. The waterfront was clearly a priority to everyone. That actually gets me excited because I think that is so important. Workforce training, and again, in some of the details of the pier and other ones that came across. So again, what is going to happen after this? We take all of this material back, we go through it, we start to record it, we develop a list of the top priorities that the community has shared. You are going to see that. If anyone doesn't think that's what came out of tonight, we need to know. But I have a feeling you will, hopefully that you heard it, you'll all agree. And again, when we come back, there's going to be that list. There's going to begin the beginnings of the identification of the projects. And you are going to tell us, again, we'll come up with a new way for you to tell us of whether or not this is hitting your priorities. And then within those, again, what is most important to you. So we continue to have your input on these. And with that, and we're already past the time, I always like to try to keep our meetings on time. This is the official end of the meeting. I'm looking at one person who I know wants to speak, and I'm going to go straight to you and talk to you right now. So with that, unless the mayor would like to say anything officially, and we are done. She said thank you, and I thank you too. Have a great night.